Hey, welcome, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and welcome to another live stream. This is Joe Asamoah. Some people call me Dr. Joe, and welcome you. The weather, what's the weather like over here? It's kind of a little misty. It was raining this morning in the Washington, D.C. area, so hopefully your weather is a lot more comfortable than what we are. But, spring is in the air. And over here, we are still on lockdown mode. The governor of Maryland, I think he's supposed to be revisiting his decision the next few days, I suppose, or a week or so. And DC is pretty much locked down. So we're locked down, but it's all good. And I hope you're safe. I hope you're doing well wherever you are. So feel free to let me know where you're tuning in from. And as always, I'm getting a whole lot of people from Instagram. Let's have a look. Who's going on Instagram? Atlanta's on the house. And let's have a look. Just keep rolling. I can't see. Can I see the... Well, let's see where they're coming from. These are just questions. Anyway, California. Hey, Antonia. How you doing, man? El Paso, Texas. Okay. We've got Minnesota in the house. And... Minnesota again, Miami. Oh, wow. Dallas. Okay. All right. East Orange, New Jersey, Delaware, Brooklyn, Northeast DC. Hey, Ali, how's it going? So this is the one in my backyard. And hey, is it Ali or Ali? Hi, Ale, Ali. Ale. Okay. I hope I didn't chop your name up. Hey, Jose. Jorge in Connecticut. How's it going, man? And let's have a look. We have got a boatload of people on Instagram: Orlando, Corona, California, Texas, New York City, St. Louis. Oh my goodness. Trinidad. Oh, Trinidad. Oh, Trinidad. Hey, Kevin. I'm going international now. Germany. Oh my goodness. I'm going global. Dr. Joe is going global. I tell you, next thing I gotta have some people from Mars. That'll be good. Hey, Mars in the house. Okay. Anyway, today I'm going to be talking about investing in any economic cycle and also adjusting your BRRRR strategy. What's going on with how do we kind of use or adjust the BRRRR given the realities of this market that we're in? And so I'll kind of be talking about that. Let me just have a little glass of water. Okay, doing good. Okay, so before I start, I want to just give a couple of announcements. The first one is that, as you may or may know, BiggerPockets has a new magazine. It's called BiggerPockets Wealth, and it's a really, really nice magazine. It's real glossy, it's beautiful, it's very impressive. They've done a great job, the folks down at BiggerPockets Publishing. And lo and behold, I was honored to be featured in the inaugural issue of the magazine. And so kudos to BiggerPockets, kudos to everybody down there. Did a real nice story about me. I haven't read it yet, but I think it's a nice story. I hope it's a nice story. I'm assuming it's a nice story, otherwise I wouldn't put me on the cover. But anyway, as soon as it's a good one, then I would highly recommend that you try to subscribe. They publish it 6 times a year, so it's once every 2 months. And they do have a promo right now where you get 20% off if you go to the BiggerPockets website /store and enter in the promo code MAGAZINE. Enter the promo code MAGAZINE for a 20% discount on the issues. It's six magazines for the year. And if you book it by today, close of business today, midnight today, and then you'll get the inaugural issue, which I'm featured in. If you don't do it today, then you'll get the second issue, and you won't see me on the cover, and you won't read about my story. So if you want to read about me, you want to get my mugshot, and sorry, dots on the wall, burn it up. You gotta do it before midnight today, okay? So Yeah, so seriously, it's a great magazine. I highly recommend that you check it out and go to BiggerPockets /store and BiggerPockets Wealth Magazine. Use the promo code 20%. Oh, sorry, 20%. Use the promo code magazine for a 20% discount. So check it out and let me know your thoughts. Hopefully, next time I do my next live stream, which will be 2 weeks from now, then you can give me your feedback on what you think and so on. So check it out. The other announcement I'd like to make, I'm doing a masterclass. I did one yesterday. It's really, really well. And what it is kind of talking about, pivoting, success strategy in the new environment that we're in. I propose, talk about different strategies, about my strategy in more detail. And I also put together a pretty comprehensive action plan on moving forward to kind of position yourself and take advantage of the many opportunities as we transition from a seller's market into a buyer's market. It's been a lot of great opportunities as the market shifts. It is what it is. I mean, the good times, all good things come to an end. And it looks like we're kind of moving away from the good old days into a bit more challenging times. But based on my experiences, have been through these things 4 times. I think it's a great time for those people who are ready, those people who are positioned, and especially if you can get access to financing. So I kind of talk about that and have an 8-point strategy to do that. So that's a masterclass I'm holding on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. And you can sign up for that one. Go to my website, which is joeasamoah.com, Joe Asamoah, ASAMOH.com. And you can register there for Sundays. And also you can go to my social media sites, the Instagram, and also my Facebook. Go to Dr. Joe. So Dr. Joe. So you can, I think, according to my assistant, you got to press on the link. Yeah, I'm getting real technical, huh? So you press on the link, and you can sign up for that. There is a small fee though. It's $39. I do want to mention that because I just wanted full disclosure and so forth. So okay. So with that said and done, let's get rolling. My website's up there. Thank you, Nikki. Okay, so investing in any economic cycle and also adjusting your BRRRR strategy with Dr. Joe. Dr. Joe. Sounds good, Dr. Joe. Okay, so as you know, I think you may have read that article I wrote about a week ago. And it got a lot of good feedback on BiggerPockets. I kind of talk about the strategy I pursue, which has sort of evolved over time to what it is today, which is I try to share with you on that article. So essentially what it is, as you know about me, I'm a long-term, I take real estate from a long-term perspective. I'm not a short-term view. I take a long-term view because in my opinion, the real money, especially if you're in sort of appreciating markets like we're in, is the real money is the increase in the value of the asset, increase in value of the house over the long period of time. And to do that well, the bottom line is that you need to have tenants, or I call them customers, who love your house, your product, and are eternally grateful for you giving them the opportunity to live there. And also they're going to pay their rent. And ultimately, as they stay, they take care of your house, the value of the house increases. And therefore that sort of builds up your cash flow. It also builds up your wealth. And it's really, really good. As you know, I do a lot of Section 8s. And I try to debunk a lot of the myths associated with Section 8 in the article, and also other articles. I've written 10 articles on the BiggerPockets, so check them out if you haven't read them. But essentially, I try to debunk some of the myths and stereotypes associated with, first of all, the Section 8 program, and then secondly, Section 8 tenants. The myths essentially boils down to as follows. One, Section 8 tenants, if you rent to them, they're going to trash your house, they're going to destroy your house. Gangsters are going to be roaming around the place. Hoodlums are going to go into the neighborhood, and next thing you know, your house is destroyed. Okay, that's the sort of the stereotype and so on. And as you know, I don't believe that. There's a lot of good families in the program who are no different than you and they just want a decent place, a decent house, a decent landlord, and live in a decent neighborhood. And that's what they're looking for. And their choices are next to slim to none in terms of having something that they really like. A lot of the landlords that participate in that program, they tend to have low-end houses in low-end neighborhoods. And I just can say, you know, I'll just say this: they're kind of low-end. You know, they don't really take a lot of pride in the tenants that they're renting to. So for those families who are yearning for this beautiful house in a beautiful area, there's not a whole lot of choices for them. And what I found is that if you give them the chance to live in a nice house in a nice area, then they will reward you 4 ways. They pay their rent, take care of the house, pleasant to deal with, and more importantly, they stay a long time. So that's what I found. And I tried to articulate that in the article. In terms of the second sort of thing I tried to debunk is the whole thing about you know, the Section 8 program in terms of the housing authority, and who are pretty much administering the program on a local level. The Section 8 program is a federal program, you know, through HUD, Housing and Urban Development, but it's administered locally through an array of different housing authorities wherever you are in the country. So, you know, like all things, it's a government agency usually, and like any government agency, it's a bureaucracy. You know, there are people there who work there who may not have the greatest customer service skills, but it is what it is. That's where they work, and that's who you have to deal with in order to, if you want to participate in the program. And I found that a lot of the people there, you know, they're just as frustrated about the program as you are. And but the key has been, at least I found, is to take the time to develop relationships within the housing authorities locally. Because if you know people who work in the program, you know, and then if you run into problems or if you have questions, at least you have somebody that you can maybe contact, and they could try and help you out. So it's really important to have sort of relationships within the housing authorities. And it's many a times that I've been able to contact people when I run into problems and issues, and they've been able to give me some advice, some guidance, and suggest alternative ways which I can proceed. So that's the sort of you know, what I've found to be very, very effective in dealing with the bureaucracies associated with these housing authorities. So I try to kind of debunk and address some of those concerns that people have at 2 levels. But the Section 8 program, I mean, let's have a look. Today's the 24th. I've been a landlord renting to voucher holders for nearly 30 years now, and I can categorically say, and I've been through 4 real estate cycles. I can categorically say, I can categorically say that during all that time, there has never ever been a situation where the housing authority has not paid the rent for the tenant. As long as the tenant's in the house, as long as the tenant participates in the program, as long as I'm not what we call abated, i.e. they stop my payments, I will get my rent, you know, for that tenant regardless. So it's a really reliable, you know, income stream, and it works in good times, bad times, and so on. So we, on the 2nd of April, you know, a lot of landlords were concerned that they may not get their rents for this month because of the COVID-19, you know, turmoil that's going on. And quite rightly so. A lot of businesses have been shut down. A lot of people have been furloughed. A lot of people have been let go. And a lot of big businesses have been shut down. It's crazy. I mean, you work so hard to develop your business, and just like that, you've been shut down for weeks on end. It's really distressing, and so on. But despite all that, I know a lot of landlords were worried that they may not get their rents from the tenants. But you know, I think I read some reports like 30% of tenants are kind of either didn't pay or having problems paying and things like that. But the Section 8 income came in like clockwork, 100% of the money, no questions asked. It came in. So it's a really, in times like this, it's very reassuring to know that you have a stable income stream, because there's nothing worse than having really good market renters, and through no fault of their own, they're laid off, or they're fired, or they're being furloughed and things like that. And now, once the moratoriums are over in the next month or two, or wherever you are, then you're going to have to make some decisions. Do you kind of work with the tenants, or do you have to pursue legal action to evict them? And that is a very, very, very troubling and distressing situation, because they're good people and they just hit hard times. But, at the end of the day, you still have your mortgage to pay. So you kind of have to work it out with them if you can. I really encourage you to work it out with them. But at some point, if the writing's on the wall and they can't pay, then you have to make some hard decisions. But fortunately, you don't have those issues with Section 8, because if the tenant loses their income stream, i.e. lose their job. In fact, I had one of my tenants who was furloughed. And so I think she called me this week and saying that she'd been furloughed from her job and she doesn't know when it's going to come back, and so forth and so on. I said, no problem. Just contact your housing authority specialist, and they'll make the adjustment. So her income has gone down, and because her income has gone down, I think she's paying $1,000 of her. That's her portion of the rent. So the total rent for her house is $4,700. So out of that $4,700, she pays $1,000 based on her income, and the housing authority pays me, say it's $4,760 really technically. So they pay me, let's say $3,760. Okay, let's just keep it round numbers. $3,700 is what I'm getting from the housing authority, and $1,000 from her. Now she's lost her job, or she's been furloughed. So she's going to go to the housing authority and submit the paperwork. And, within due course, her income has gone down. So her rent is going to go down from $1,000. I don't know what it's going to go down. So let's just say it goes down to $300. Okay. So it goes down from $1,000 to $300. So there's a $700 delta that she's $1,000 to $300, $700. So her rent's gone down by $700, which means that the housing authority's portion is going to go up by $700. So instead of them paying $3,000, it's going to go to or $3,700. I forgot all the numbers now. It's going to go up by $700, and so on. So the net's still the same, $4,700, and I still get $4,700 total. But it's just that the relationship of how the payments are changes. So that's the beauty of the renting to voucher holders, is that it's unfortunate when people lose their jobs, but it's not so tragic from a landlording perspective in terms of rent. It's just their portion goes down and so on. You really don't have that stability or that guarantee with market renters. So so that's the reason why I like what I do, because it really is, regardless of the economic cycle, it's pretty much recession proof. Okay. And so, I encourage you to consider that. I encourage you to, sort of set aside some of the stereotypes, or set aside some of the fears that you may have about the Section 8 program and renting to Section 8 tenants. Okay. And I'll kind of talk about that next, when I sort of talk about how I have over the years have adjusted my strategy, i.e. the BRRRR strategy, to where it is today. Okay. So I'm kind of pivoting now. I've talked about, my strategy and how it's been sort of structured in such a way that it's very resilient. It's very recession resilient, and it's also, I won't say recession proof, but it's about as recession proof as you get. Okay, and so on. So sort of now to talk about the BRRRR strategy and what I'm doing, what I've done, and what you may want to consider doing should you want to pursue the strategy that I'm doing, and so on. Okay, so adjusting your BRRRR strategy is what I'm going to kind of talk about now. So I know last time we're 3:21, so I've been talking 20 minutes, 21 minutes. On Instagram, we have 60 minutes before you get shut off. So, I know that, what's it called? We can continue the discussion if the demand is there for me to continue talking. So if you show me some love, make me blush, make me cringe, then we'll see how it goes, and so on. So if you can like me and what's it called on your, what do you call it, on the buttons? Is that what you call it, like buttons? Hit the like button, show some love, show some happiness, tell I'm a great guy. Oh, the love is coming. Oh, there you go. I can't see the love on Facebook. Oh, you can't. Can you see it on the Facebook? I can't see it. I can't see it here. Is it coming up? Oh, okay. Apparently, you love me on Facebook as well. You love me on Instagram. I'll tell you. Can you do it on YouTube? Can you show love on YouTube? Okay, YouTube guys, show me some love. Okay. I don't know if you love me or not. But I know Instagram loves me. I think she tells me, my assistant, that Facebook loves me. So let's have a look. I always feel like Donald Trump. You got to show some affection to. So it's all good. It's all good. Anyway. Okay, thanks a lot, CZ. Okay. I wonder what would happen to those teeth. They're real, okay? Oh my goodness, I'm having too much fun here. Let me have some water. Okay, let's have a look. Let's get down to business. Let's talk about the BRRRR. I don't want to talk about teeth, Okay. Talk about the BRRRR strategy in an economic cycle, economic downturn, and things like that. So in the downturn period, the BRRRR obviously is buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. And so I'll start off with a buy. And with the buy, which is obviously the trigger for all this thing, it's really, really important that you proceed cautiously in a BRRRR strategy in a downturn. Okay, you're going to be doing some renovations. Okay, and so renovations, you're dealing with contractors, you're dealing with moving parts, you're dealing with unknowns, unforeseen things. Okay, and so there's a lot more unknown things, unforeseen things that can occur whenever you start renovations. You get overruns, you get problems with your contractors. I'm sure we can talk about contractors all day long. Give me a shout out if you've never had a problem with your contractors. Okay, there's nobody responding. So everybody has had problems with their contractors. Okay, that's good. So I could talk all day long about contractors, and but there are some good ones out there. But as you know, it's a lot of unforeseen things with contractors. So when you're doing a rehab, if you got good contracts, great. But unfortunately, there's a lot of not so great good contractors out there as well. So so be careful when you're kind of entering into the major renovations. Anyway, it's really dependent on you got to have good contractors. You got to have a good team. You got to have good relationships. If you're going to do things like permits, you got to make sure that you can get your building permits. You make sure that your contractors know what they do, such that they can get the inspections through. You definitely want to play by the rules. Typically for at least my projects, I have an architect who pulls the drawings together. He goes down to the city and navigates through the city, and ultimately we get the building permit, and then we get the other permits, which is typically the plumbing permit, the mechanical permit, electrical permit. We also get what we call demo permits as well. And then so that's the first phase. And then obviously once the work starts, you got to get the stuff inspected. And so I really suggest that you make sure you get all the documentation correctly, because the last thing you need in a downturn is what we call a stop work, where you do something outside the scope of your contract, your permit, and then either the neighbors call you into the city or to the county, and then the inspector comes over, they check your permit and realize that you're out of scope, and they can put what we call a stop work order. And that can be very expensive in terms of cost, and also you can get fined, and also it can delay the project. And so, again, make sure that you do your the homework, make sure that the scope of work is defined, make sure that your permits are in place, and make sure that the contractors who you hire know what they're doing and they know code, such that when the inspector comes over to check your work, then it's done properly and you have no problems, everything gets passed, and you just keep rolling. Okay, so buying is very important. Be careful about major renovations unless you got a good team together. On the acquisition side, make sure that you do your numbers carefully. Okay, make sure you double check, triple check, quadruple check your numbers. There's a lot of expenses going on with these sort of BRRRR projects, which is kind of hidden. There's the rehab cost, holding cost, refinance cost. There are obviously, when you buy the house, there's costs associated with that as well. And also you want to check the ARV, because in a down market, there's a chance that the property prices may go down, which means that the ARV that you assumed when you purchased the house may not be the ARV when it's time to refinance. And if the ARV has gone down when it's time to refinance, then you may not be able to pull out as much money from the refinance that you thought, which means that more of your money has to stay in the project. So your numbers, so make sure you double check, triple check your numbers. And based on history, if you want an idea of how you're going to do in the down market, because nobody knows, I don't know how long it's going to be, where this thing is heading. But based on what I'm hearing, reading on the newspapers online, nobody reads newspapers anymore. So depending on what you read online or on the media and things like that, it looks like it's going to get real ugly. So I would suggest that you kind of check out for your area, wherever you are, check out what happened in the last downturn. Did your market, did the prices in your market, in your area, stay the same? Did it go down slightly, or did it take a real big hit? Okay, everywhere is different. I know in the Washington, D.C. area, we didn't really take a hit around here because the economy around here is pretty resilient. It's pretty strong. So prices didn't really take a hit per se. It just sort of stayed level for a while and so forth. So in your market, it may be different. So if you found out in the last market your prices were tanked, then you want to make sure that if you do a BRRRR or if you do an acquisition, that you have to assume that the prices could go down. Okay, how much I don't know, but you got to make the assumption that the price that it is today may not be the same price as it is when you finish your project. Okay, so your numbers, so double check, triple check, quadruple check your numbers in terms of on the buy side of the BRRRR. And what I do to protect myself is to focus on, make sure I have clear criteria as to the kind of houses that I'm going to buy. Okay, I know the kind of tenants that I'm trying to attract. I know what they're looking for. I know where they want to live. I know where they don't want to live. And I know the kind of houses that they aspire to. I know the amenities that they're looking for. So I know the criteria, what I'm searching for. So I send that over to the real estate agents. I send that over to the wholesalers, to the bird dogs. So that way they can start feeding me properties that meet my criteria. So I kind of focus on what I call high demand, low supply houses. High demand, low supply. So houses that's in high demand, but there aren't a lot of them, because that's typically what my tenants are looking for. It's usually 4, 5, and 6 bedroom houses. And there's very few of that. There's high demand for it. And, there's low supply of them. So I focus on that. And that usually is able to protect me during the downturn, because I have a product which there's not a whole lot of competition. Okay, so if you're going to be, if you want to survive in the BRRRR environment, you want to make sure that when you finished, you're not competing with every Tom, Dick, and Harry in your neighborhood and who got a better product than you. And now you're searching for the same tenants that everybody else looking for, but they have more choices, which means that they're going to gravitate towards them versus you. And therefore, the only way you're going to be able to compete is to lower your prices, and which is going to cut into your cash flow and so forth. So focus on high demand, low supply product. Make sure you understand who your tenant customers are. As I said before, I'm focused on the Section 8 voucher holder, the creme de la creme of voucher holders. I call them tier 1 voucher holders. So within the pool of voucher holders, not all voucher holders are the same. It's just like any, marketing 101. If I want to buy a pair of shoes, I can buy shoes at the dollar. Well, can you get shoes at dollar stores? Maybe you can't. Maybe you get at Dollar General. You can get shoes at Dollar General. You can get shoes at Walmart. You can get shoes at Target. You can get shoes at Kohl's. You can get shoes at Nordstrom's. Okay, they're all shoes at the end of the day, but there are different types of shoes. Okay, and a person that doesn't have a lot of money really is probably not going to go to Nordstrom to buy their shoes, and vice versa. Somebody who's used to the quality of Nordstrom's is probably not going to go to Dollar General to buy their shoes. Okay, so you can segment that shoe market and then sort of have a product accordingly. So what's that? Q&A already? Wow. Oh, you started. Okay, my assistant told me to cut it down, shut it down. You got to show me some more love. She's telling me it's over. I tell you, I've only just started. Oh my goodness. Okay. So so you can segment that market and so on. So I've segmented that pool of voucher holders because in my opinion, they're not all the same. And you have top tier all the way down to, I don't know, Dollar General, I suppose. And so you have Nordstrom's all the way down to Dollar General. And I've just decided to segment that market and realize that, not all voucher holders are the same. So I'm kind of catering to the top tier voucher holders. So I understand who these people are, and I have a product that meets their needs. Okay, so the other thing is to make sure that you have multiple exit strategies for your house. So on the buy side, so you want to buy a house that, in the event that you can't execute plan A, you have your plan B as well. So what does that mean? It means that if my goal is to keep it, because I'm implementing the BRRRR strategy, then it's got to be able to cash flow. Okay, that's number one. So the numbers have to support the cash flow. But the plan B is, can I sell it, flip it, if I have to, and still make a profit? Okay, so that's the plan B. Or if you're a flipper, your plan A is to flip it, and your plan B, if you can't sell it, is to then keep it. But you can only keep it if it can cash flow. So if it can't support the cash flow because you pay too much, and the debt on the house versus the rent that you collect is just totally out of sync, then you really don't have a viable plan B. So you want to make sure that if you're buying in the BRRRR strategy in the down market, that you have two exit strategies, at least multiple exit strategies, just in case your plan A doesn't work and you have to sort of revert to plan B, and so on. So that's on the buy side. Then we move over to the renovate side on the as part of the BRRRR strategy. And on the renovate side, I've kind of talked about moving parts, permits, inspections, overruns, change orders, all those things that typically occur on a rehab project. Also the need and the essential part is to get good contractors who are trustworthy or reliable, and you don't need to micromanage them all the time. So try to keep your projects, if you're new, you're kind of a new investor exploring this thing, you may want to keep your rehab project short. Okay, don't get too excited and too adventurous doing these major renovations. Just keep it simple, keep it short, and therefore you're able to get in, get out, and move on. Okay, as opposed to taking all these major renovations. I mean, I'm okay with doing major renovations because I have the systems, I have the team, I have the experience to do that. But if you're just starting off, I wouldn't highly recommend that you don't pursue these major renovations, because there's a lot more moving parts, and there's a lot more chance of something going wrong. And you know, I talked about the contractors, and also the important thing on the renovate side is the cash flow management. You know, it's very easy to run out of money on rehabs, especially major rehabs, because you're thinking that it's going to cost, I don't know, 20,000 or 30,000, 50,000 on the renovation. And then you start, and then you run into a problem, and then you go into overruns, and you know, and so on and so on and so forth. So there could be delays on the project. So what you thought was going to be 50K rehab now becomes 60, which now becomes 65, which might become 70. Okay, so if you're not careful, you could run out of money. And there's nothing worse than starting a rehab project and you're running out of money. It's even nothing worse. And what's even worse than that is starting a project, running out of money in a down market where there are fewer buyers. That is the worst case scenario. And because there are fewer buyers, and the ones that who are buying, I'm sorry, are able to maybe squeeze you even further, tighten the screws, you know, and really sort of because you don't have a whole lot of choices in terms of the buyers out there. So be careful and make sure that you are able to manage your cash flow on these projects, because cash flow management becomes really important. Tracking numbers, you know, and have the discipline to sort of you know, rein in these costs if you can, maybe reduce the scope, and you know, and so forth. Okay, so that's on the renovate side. Then we're moving right along to the rent side. So we've done the buy, renovate. Now we're going to rent. So now the house is finished, the renovation is done, the tenants moved in. Okay, so what are you going to do on the rent side as part of the BRRRR strategy in a down market? Oh, some love. Okay, thank you. Oh, good. I can't see the love on what's it called? Facebook. Do they? You can see that? I can't see that. Okay, well, good info. Okay, thank you, Werner. Okay, right. Brian Harker. Just Google him. Brian Harker. It sounds familiar. Oh, Brian, he's local, isn't he? Okay, Brian, how you doing, man? Okay, yeah, Brian. I'm going to be doing a project with Brian. In fact, I'm buying another house. We're going to do another project on next Saturday. I think I announced at the last meeting that I just bought a house that morning, didn't I? Yeah. So I bought the house a couple of weeks ago. Brian was over there. He's part of my JV program. He's going to be a private investor there, but he went over to the house. I took him to the settlement. And so we're going to actually kick it off next Saturday. So looking forward to that one. Anyway, I digress. So what's it called? Rent. This is the key, absolute key for the you know, for the BRRRR strategy to work, for the Section 8 strategy to work. I can't underestimate or overestimate the importance of screening. Okay, the need and the importance of making sure that you screen your tenants thoroughly. I think I've shared with you what I do. I'm very, very picky. Okay, I would rather, and based on my experience, I've learned that it is better to have a house empty, okay, than it is to have the wrong person in your house. Okay, I'll say it again. It's better, in my opinion, it's better to have a house empty than it is to have a wrong tenant in your house. Okay, what do I mean by that? As an investor, especially if you have multiple properties, which is what we're all aspiring to, there is nothing better than what I call peace of mind. Okay, it's low stress. There's some value in not being stressed out by your renters and tenants and so on. And there's nothing worse than having a tenant who doesn't want to pay you, having a tenant who's trashing your house, having a tenant who knows the legal system and is manipulating, or he is manipulating the system against you, and there is nothing you can do about it. nothing. You know, they know the law just as well as you do. In fact, they probably know it better than you do. And I call these folks the professional tenants. Okay, they don't see what's wrong with not paying rent. They don't have a problem with not paying rent. They, you know, and so they'll go to one house. They'll, you know, sort of give you the appearance that they're the dream come true tenant. As part of your screening process, you may call their current landlord. So they realize that, and so they have their buddy be their landlord, quote unquote. So when you call them, the buddy or the landlord is going to say great things about them. Okay, they know the landlord's going to do that. They know that what's it called? The landlord may, I don't know, call their job, so they'll create a fictitious job as well. I mean, they know the system. Okay, and they present themselves very well. They talk a good game. They say all the things that you want to say. You know, they love your home. It's a dream come true. You know, I'll be eternally grateful if you give me the chance to this. I'll take care of you. I mean, they say all the stuff that you want to hear, and so if you're not thorough, you may get fooled by that, and you let them in your house, and you may get a security deposit, which you should beforehand. And they may pay you the first month's rent, which they should do beforehand. But once they're in the house, that may be the last check that you ever get, because from that point onwards, their true colors come out, and they're not going to pay you, and you know, they're going to bring a whole bunch of other people in the house, and so on and so on and so on. So I mean, essentially, it's almost like a wolf in sheep's clothing. So, you know, so my systems are geared towards making sure that I'm thorough, because it's my responsibility to screen the tenants. And this is the part I really don't understand with some of these landlords. I don't get it, which is, you know, I know there's a trend now whereby you can rent a house or apartment without even seeing the tenant. You know, everything's done electronically. The application's done electronically. The showing is done electronically, and so on. And you don't know who these people are. They're in your house now, and so on. So you know, but I'm obviously I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But the important thing is to screen your tenants thoroughly, because it's once they're in your house, it's a lot more difficult to get them out of your house, especially in a lot of the major cities like Washington D.C., LA's, New York's, Boston's, and things like that, where the landlord-tenant laws are very much pro-tenant versus other states and things like that. So screen is very important. You know, once they're in the house, make sure that you develop strategies to minimize turnover and vacancy, because turnover and vacancy are your biggest expenses. And I focus on making sure my tenants are happy. And you know what I do? It's all about loyalty. It's all about making sure that they're very appreciative of what you do. Something goes wrong, I fix it, and so on. So my goal is that when someone comes into my home, I'm looking for that relationship to be about 10 to 15 years. Okay. And I've consistently, I'll get in 10 to 15 year tenants. You know, I just celebrated one of my tenants that just, you know, we sent her a little gift a couple of days ago. She's been with us for 12 years. And, you know, my longest one's 23 years. I got 15-year ones, 12-year tenants. I mean, again, that's not bragging, but I think as BRRRR strategists, BRRRR investors, as landlords, we want to minimize turnover such that we don't have that revolving door, which is very, very expensive. So make sure that you try to develop your own loyalty program, tenant loyalty program, and you focus on customer satisfaction, which most landlords do not. Most landlords, all they care about is getting the money. As long as the tenant pays me, that's all I need to worry about. I don't want to see them. I don't want to hear from them. I don't want nothing from them except their money, and so on. So that may work in good times, but in bad times it may not be so great, because once that person leaves, then you're going to have a lot harder time getting somebody else into that house, which means that your turnover and vacancy cost is going to be a lot longer, but more expensive. Refinance. That's the last, the third R: buy, renovate, rent, refinance. Buy, renovate, rent, refinance. Third R. No, I'm done. I haven't done the repeat yet. Oh, you get me confused now. This is the third R of the fourth. Okay. So on the refinance part. Okay, so on the refinance part, you know, it's going to be tighter to get financing. You know, when in a down market, you know, credit gets hard. What's it called? Scores get, you know, qualification requirements get tighter. I think I heard that FHA and some of these commercial banks are now increasing their scores from mid-5s to mid-6s. Next thing you know, it's going to be in the 7s before you can get a loan. So if your credit is kind of not that great, now's the time to kind of work on that, because in a down market, when you're ready to refinance, you may not be able to refinance because your qualification criteria may not be met. So that is a disaster, because you've taken on short-term financing with the goal of replacing that short-term with permanent financing, and now the market's changed. What's it called? Financing requirements changed, and now you can't refinance. Okay, so the only way you can refinance is a lower LTV, loan to value. Okay, which means that you're going to have to keep more money in the house. And so on. So these are disasters. Okay, I've been through them before. I know how it shakes out. I'm just sharing with you my experiences. So financing is the key. You need to factor that in. Make sure you take care of your finances. Make sure you take care of your lenders. Make sure you develop relationships and nurture those relationships with these lenders. Because in a market, a down market, this is absolutely critical and will determine whether you are going to succeed or fail. Okay. And finally, to the fourth R, the repeat, is constantly monitor your systems, be in a constant mode for process improvement. You know, I was in the, as you know, I used to work for a major technology company. I suppose I shouldn't say who they are. I'll just say that it has 3 letters, and I'll leave it at that. And so what we used to do when I used to work for that company was that after the end of the project, I was to be in charge of contracts and projects. After the end of the consulting projects, we would kind of regroup and say, okay, what went right? What went wrong? What could we do differently? So that way, it's always a mode of continuous improvement. So same kind of thing. After each project, kind of reflect what went right, what went wrong, what could you do differently, and so on. So that is and develop your team, nurture your team, and so on. So I think it's 48 minutes. Is that good? It's not too bad, is it? 48. I was talking 48 minutes. My assistant said I should have been talking for 20 minutes. So so I'll give you 20 minutes of extra information. So show me some love, show some appreciation. And so we're going to enter into the Q&A phase shortly. Before I do that, again, I wanted to give a couple of announcements. I'll do a little announcements for BiggerPockets. Again, there's a 20% special for the magazine. Sign up. Go to BiggerPockets in the store, and there's 20% off. Just type in the promo code magazine. The inaugural issue, I'm on there. You need to do it by today. Close the business today, midnight tonight, in order to get the first issue where I am the featured investor. Pretty good story and so forth. So check it out. BiggerPockets.com/store, 20% off. Use the promo code magazine. And I do have a masterclass on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Check that out on my website, joeasamoah.com. That's joeasamoah.com. And there is a fee. It's $39, but it's very reasonable. It's going to be 3 hours. You're going to have 3 hours of great, solid information, including a detailed action plan. Kind of build on what we talked about today. This is just the tip of the iceberg that we're going to cover on Sunday. So if you're interested in this kind of topic, please register there. You can also check it out. Sign up on my Instagram and Facebook pages as well. Just go there. That's Dr. Joe Asamoah, Dr. Joe Asamoah on Instagram and Facebook. And without further ado, we shall go to the Q&A session. And let's have a look. How long do we have before Instagram gets shut down? So Instagram, you have 9 minutes before you are off. So if you want to continue on this discussion, what's it called? Obviously, make me blush, make me embarrassed, show some love, and then what's it called? We'll continue the discussion until a bit longer. So you may have to re-sign again after about 60 minutes. Yeah. So if you get shut off at 60 minutes, Instagram, you're gonna have to re-log in again. Okay. But we'll continue on the Facebook and YouTube platforms and so on. So okay, Q&A. Let's roll. Nikki, if you're in the house, Nikki is the invisible producer here. And she is the behind the controls, on the controls. Okay, Mike, got a question from Mike on Facebook. How about some questions? How do you decide your renting criteria? If you're open to Section 8 and normal tenants, is it the same for both? Okay, how about questions? How about questions? Okay.
Questions that you asked Section 8.
Oh, the questions I asked about the tenants, you mean? Okay, so the scenario is I've got a great house. You've seen the article, you've seen the kind of product that I have, and I market it. People come over to the house. As I said on my application, I say Section 8 welcome. I do get Section 8 tenants. I also get market renters who apply. But many times the Section 8 rents is the same as or even more in some cases than the market renters. Anyway, so the kind of question I have my application form, which is 8 pages and very detailed and so on. So they fill the application out, and and then I go through the application one-on-one with the persons. Okay, so I get to know, make sure that, first of all, I ask their ID to make sure that who they say they are is in fact who they are. You'll be surprised. I had many situations where people come up with false IDs and so on. Anyway, so I go through the application, make sure that they complete it thoroughly. I want to essentially find out their rental history, find out more about what the current landlord, previous landlord is going to say. Talk about income, where they work in, what's the income stream, the credit, and because obviously their history of paying rent. And then I also make an appointment to go visit their home. I require that. Some people are not used to that, but it's the requirement. I say that on my first page of the application in bold. If you're interested in this house, this is what I'm going to do. Okay. And so I go through that whole process, and then I start screening, and then I start verifying the information. And then ultimately I make a decision. The policy is the same, regardless of whether it's Section 8 or not Section 8. I do the same for everybody. And, you got to make sure that you do have policies in place, because otherwise, if you do it for one group of people and not for another group, you could be, set yourself up for fair housing challenges. Okay, so hopefully I answered the question. Let's have a look. Shall I go to Instagram? Okay, Instagram. What's your experience with Section 8? I'll just answer that question. No. What's your experience with Section 8 when there is a government shutdown? How did you recover your rent? What did you do in that situation? Okay. So the question is, essentially, when there's a government shutdown, did I have any disruptions to my rent? The answer is no. I didn't have any disruptions to my rent. My rent still came in during the last government shutdown, which was what, about, was it the beginning of this year? I think that was beginning of this year. I think that was last year. Was it last year? Mm-hmm. Was it not that long ago? I thought the shutdown was this year.
Only in April.
Was it 2019? Mm-hmm. Christmas of 2019 through 2020 or 2018 to 2019. Right. Oh, was okay. Wow, time flies having fun. Okay. Anyway, so in the last year shutdown, according to Laura, my assistant, who refuses to show her face. You want to say hello to the crowd? One day she'll show her face. The shutdown was last year, to 2018 to 2019. No, there was no disruptions to the rents. It came in, at least for my properties in the Washington, D.C. area. I don't recall any stoppages for the Section 8 program. At least I didn't have any, so I can't talk to anybody else. And I didn't, the tenants, again, as I said before, if the tenants got affected by it, then they'll go to the housing authority to get their rents reduced, and so on. So no, it's pretty recession proof. When you're dealing with the Section 8 program. Now, if I had, like, we're in Washington, D.C., so there's a lot of people that work for the government, the federal government and local government and state governments. So, some of those folks that had furloughs and were impacted quite heavily, but most of my tenants don't work for the federal government, so I really wasn't affected by that. Okay, next question. What is your YouTube platform? Do I have a YouTube platform? Not really. I don't think I really have a YouTube platform yet, but I'm going to get one. So stay tuned, as they say. Okay, Nikki, do you want to throw one up for me? When on Section 8, if you turn away a tenant or choose not to go with them, do you have to have thorough documentation to avoid discrimination, or able to turn away anyone for any reason? No, you got to make sure you document your whenever you turn somebody away, you got to prove, at least in your records have to indicate why they didn't why you didn't approve them. So it could be references from the landlord, it could be rental history, it could be credit, and so forth and so on. So you need to document that, and so that way you don't have any issues in terms of fair housing laws. And that's the other thing as well. On my application, as I said before, it's part of my on the first page of my rental application, before they even put their name on there, I have a one pager which explains what we're going to do. Okay, we're going to verify this, we're going to verify that, we're going to verify this, we're also going to go to your home. Okay, so before I show the house, I explain to people this is what we're going to do, and before they fill the application, it's written there on the application form, this is what's going to happen. So these are what I call policies, okay, which is applied to everybody. Okay, the problem that you have, which is what you said in your message, Shannon, which is a good one, which is that if you do it for one person or another one, then you run into you're kind of running you're setting yourself up for all kind of potential problems, especially with fair housing. I know in Washington, D.C. and a lot of other states, you cannot even discriminate based on source of income. So technically, you're not supposed to discriminate based on Section 8. Okay. And but obviously, as you and I know, a lot of landlords don't want to rent to Section 8, so they'll come up with reasons as to why they don't want to accept this tenant. So typically what they do is say, okay, I need a month's security deposit, 1 month's rent, and if the rent is $4,000 or $3,000, then the tenant's going to come in, they're going to say, I need $6,000, which obviously is prohibited to a lot of low-income families and so forth. But you got to be consistent across the board. Good question, Shannon. Okay, let's go on to Instagram. What's that? Okay, Instagram, folks. Since you love me, since you made me all blush and embarrassed, and we're gonna cut you off in about 51 seconds. So re-sign in again, and we'll continue the discussion when you come on board. But for YouTube and for Facebook, we'll continue and so on. Okay, so they're gonna be cut off. Maybe to start again. Okay, you're gonna set that up. Good. Okay, so I'm gonna continue on Facebook. So I forgot the question. What was the question? That there's no question. So Nikki, throw a question for me. Okay, Jose. Hi, Jose. Jose Chavez. If I have a fourplex property, how can I get listed on Section 8 websites? Or what is the first step getting becoming a landlord for voucher holders? Thank you, Joe. Okay, if you have a fourplex, how do I get listed with Section 8? You don't get listed with. There's no such thing as a Section 8 house or a Section 8. Uh-oh. Is that good?
No. Keep going.
I'm gonna keep going. I'm not too sure what that is, Nikki, but I can't see myself. Hopefully, you can see me. So okay, I'm gonna tune on to live Instagram, and so okay. Anyway, so if I have a fourplex, so essentially what it is that you can. Do you want to? I don't know what this. Check that out.
Yeah.
What's it called? Looks like your camera is unplugged. Plug it back in. Well, that is, you're in the show. Everyone can. You're in the show. Everyone can see and hear you. Here you go. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to keep going. So you want to take care of that one? Everyone can see and hear you. Okay, so I'm assuming that you can see me. So okay, I'm gonna keep rolling. So yeah, so there's no such thing as a Section 8 landlord, Section 8 tenant. Section 8 house. So what you do is you advertise, and then people are going to start the camera. And then people are going to apply, and if you select a tenant who has a voucher, then what's it called? That kicks off the process. Oh, there I am. And so on. So you so the tenant applies, you select the tenant after your screening, and then once you've done that, you then submit your paperwork to the housing authority, and that kicks off the process. And then ultimately there's an inspection of your property, and then ultimately you can then there's some additional paperwork. And once that's all done, then the tenant can move in. So you want to make sure you advertise in places where the Section 8 tenants are looking for their houses. So it may be Zillow, it may be Craigslist, or it could be whatever it is. Go Section 8. There are lots of different. So each housing authority usually suggests to their tenants, go to this site to look for houses. So you want to make sure you advertise in those sites, and therefore they see your houses, and hopefully you'll have something which is attractive to one of the tenants, and they will then you will then choose them after your screening, and then ultimately the relationship starts from there in terms of you renting to them. Okay, going on to Instagram. Welcome back, Instagram. Okay, you mentioned that as part of the application process includes you going to the applicant's current home. What are you hoping to accomplish by doing this? What are you looking for? What do you hope to lead? I'm not sure what that is. Okay, good question, Amaral. Amaral, the agent. Okay, so as part of my process of screening, I go to the people's homes. She wants to know, what do I do when I get there? And you're probably thinking, why wouldn't these people take care of the home or clean up the house before you show up? Okay, I don't go unannounced. I let them know I'm going to come up there. I got two cameras, so so what's it called? I'm going to keep on alternate between Instagram and Facebook. Okay, I've been told to look at the camera. I don't know which camera to look at. So what's it called? So I go to the person's home. Well, first of all, I let them know that I'm gonna. We agree on a date and time. It's not one of those things where I just knock on the door and say, hey, I was in the neighborhood and I just thought I'll just come on in. No, it's we set up a date when I'm going to be there. Let's say 7 o'clock on Wednesday. So 7 o'clock on Wednesday, I go to the home, and I typically, I usually require that the whole family is there. Anyone that's going to live in the home, I want them to be there, so I meet the whole family. Because sometimes there's always one of the kids who is the tenant from the child from hell, and they want to hide that child. I want to see them all. So I meet with the entire family, talk with them, introduce myself, let them know what I'm expecting, looking forward in terms of other requirements for my home. And then ultimately the parent will do a tour of the house. So we go through every single room by room. Sometimes you go there and all you can smell is Lysol, usually, red flags, and things like that. You go to the bathrooms, you go to the kitchens, and, and I look at how they keep the home. Okay. Most of the time, the bathrooms, they put the shower curtains, close it, so they don't want you to see what the, ring marks around the tub. Although I open the curtains and see what's there. It's a thorough inspection. Not an inspection per se, but it's a walkthrough of the home but it's a very cordial. It's not something which is sort of intrusive. It's not something which is offensive. No, it's something which, because I have a product that these families are looking for. It's a nice homes that I have, and they want my home. And they know that I spent a lot of money fixing these houses. I mean, I spent sometimes $150,000, $160,000, $170,000 fixing these homes. So they know that. And, you know, they appreciate that. And this is a dream come true for a lot of my potential families. And so, you know, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So they'll do what they got to do to make sure that, you know, I'm impressed when they come to their homes. But the thing is that a lot of these families, that's how they live. They're not dirty. They're not sort of messy. They're very happy and very proud for you to go to their home and to showcase, you know, how they live, you know. And again, it debunks a lot of these myths and stereotypes about Section 8 families, for example. A lot of them are just very good people. They're just no different than you and I. And you go to their home, the house is perfect. You call their landlord, the house is, the references are perfect. And, you know, they're just, I think, every landlord's dream. So this is what I do. I go to the house, meet with the family, do a walk through the home, spend time, ask questions. They ask me questions, and we make sure that, you know, there's good karma. Make sure that, because just as much as I'm checking them out in terms of trying to find out who they are, how they live, they are checking me out to find out what kind of landlord am I. You know, am I the kind of person who they want to entrust their family to live with or rent from? Sorry. And so it's a two-way street. You know, it's, you know, just as much as I'm checking them out, they're checking me out and so forth. So that's what I do. Typically, the meetings are anywhere from 30 minutes to 45 minutes, sometimes an hour. Sometimes I've been to the house and they cook me dinner. You know, I mean, it's good. Anyway, I love that part. And unfortunately, what I don't like is when I have to turn away or turn down people, because many times I have a lot more applications than I can obviously have a home. That's why I'm trying to encourage more people to do what I do. Okay, going back to, okay, I think it's Nikki's turn. Veronica Laria. Hey, Veronica. Let's have a look. I just inherited Section 8 tenants in my new purchase of a duplex. Do I need to give them a new lease arrangement? Depends where you are, Veronica. Many times, you know, at least around here, I don't know if it's nationwide, but if a lease is in place, then you have to honor that lease. Many times the leases are month to month, or sorry, a year, then it reverts to month thereafter. So if you buy it within that lease period, then, you know, you have to honor the terms of that lease. Once that lease has expired, then if you want to continue, then obviously you can then create a new lease for the family or for the tenant, or you can terminate the lease and, you know, give them a notice to vacate. Again, I don't know where you know, where you are and how easy or difficult it is to do that. I know in Washington, D.C., you cannot do that. Okay. You can only, you know, you can't cancel a lease if the tenant's abiding by the terms. So it's kind of quirky, but that's just the way it is in Washington, D.C. I don't know what it's like in other places. A lot of other jurisdictions, you just give a tenant a 30-day notice and that's it. That's not the case in Washington, D.C., for example. But anyway, yeah, if you want to continue with your old lease, then you're good. If you want to get a new lease, then you then sign a new lease with new terms, new pricing, new conditions, and then you keep rolling. So, yeah, that's how it works if you inherit your tenants. If your tenants are good, I would say keep them going. If they're not good, then, you know, you can make a decision whether to terminate the lease and choose your own tenants, new tenants, or continue from there. Okay, hopefully I answered your question, Veronica. I'm going on to Instagram. Let's have a look. Can we see your master lease? I always get that question. I have a JV program which is designed to show people what I do. It's the greatest program ever created in the history of the world. It gives people a chance to look over my shoulders as I do a deal. During that JV program, that's when you get my leases. That's when you get my my application form. So if you want to get some of my, because it's a system what I'm sharing with you. You know, I think I got that question yesterday. It's not as simple as let me just give you a lease. Okay, what I'm sharing with you is a whole methodology. It's a different approach. It's a holistic approach to this business. and even the screening process. It's a holistic approach to this thing. It's based on, I think, solid business principles, which is, okay, then we're going to go through downturns. What's the most stable, reliable income stream? Okay, during good times or bad times, I've determined that it's Section 8. Okay, and a lot of people are kind of dismissive of that. That's okay, but this is what I've determined, and therefore, if I'm going to do Section 8, I've realized that there's a certain type of Section 8 voucher holders that I want to attract, and those people, I know who they are. I know who they are, where they want to live, where they don't want to live, who they want to rent to, who they don't want to rent to, what amenities they're attracted to, what amenities they're not attracted. I mean, I've taken the time to understand this group of people, and based on that knowledge and understanding, is business 101, is marketing. That's where my MBA kind of kicked in. Is understanding who your customer is, and then once you understand who your customer is, then you go to part B, which is, okay, have a product which meets the needs of this customer base. Right on. Okay, which is what I do. And then once they're in your house, the next thing is, any business owner will tell you the biggest expense is cheaper to keep an existing customer happy than it is to have a new customer. I'm sorry. So business 101 means to me, okay, what do I have to do to make sure my customers are happy? Because it's cheaper for them to stay in my home than to have a turnover. So all this thing I'm sharing with you, it's a holistic approach to this business, which fundamentally is different to what other landlords and other investors see this business. Okay, so it's not as, again, it's not as sort of, hey Joe, can I have your application form? Hey Joe, can I get your lease? Hey Joe, can I do that? You really need to take the time to understand what I'm sharing with you, and that's what I do as part of my JV program. Again, I'm not trying to pitch that program, but that's just I'm trying to educate people on that whole holistic approach to this business, which works, and and so on. Okay, if you schedule a time, couldn't they just hire a cleaner or clean up themselves right before you arrive? Wouldn't it be better to drop by unannounced to get an accurate look? Yeah, that's true. I mean, I could just show, hey, ding, 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 I'm just in the neighborhood. You kind of walk in the house, while they eat dinner, and while they just before they go to bed, I just say, hey, I just happen to be around here. Can I come on in? That may work, but normally it's not. I'm not trying to, and again, this is kind of interesting. I let people know that when they see the house, my house, this is the kind of, I'm looking for somebody who's going to take care of my house this way. Okay. I tell them, I'm looking for the world's greatest tenant, the world's greatest tenant. That's what I tell people. Okay. When they come to my home, that's what I'm looking for, because I'm the world's greatest landlord. Okay. And the reason why I say I'm the world's greatest landlord is because I have tenants who are with me for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Okay. And people don't stay that long on a consistent basis unless they're happy. Okay. I tell them this, and I've got proven track record of doing this. And for a quality tenant, that is music to their ears. They are looking for a good quality landlord in a good quality home in a good quality neighborhood, because that's what my opinion is most tenants are looking for. Okay. So they are not intimidated if I say to them, I'm going to go to your home. They are not intimidated if I say to them, I'm going to call your landlord and ask about you. I'm going to call your previous landlord and ask about you. They're not intimidated one iota. They say, okay, you want to call my landlord? Here he is. Here's the phone. Give him a call. Okay. I'm not going to say anything. You ask him whatever questions you want. He'll tell you I'm a great tenant. He'll tell you I'm a 10 out of 10. Okay. You want to come to my house? Okay. Let's go now. Okay. You can go. Let's jump in the car. Follow me. Let's go. Okay. Because that's how they keep their home. This is the caliber of people we're dealing with. Okay. Not your stereotypical, stuff that you read in the newspapers or on websites. These are quality people, and they are just yearning for somebody of their level to give them a chance to live in their home. So this is, so some people, obviously, they'll want to clean their home, which is fine. But you'll be surprised, though, some people don't understand or don't know that their house is dirty. Again, I don't want to get off topic, but some people just don't know, and because that's where they live. So no, I don't go unannounced. I I make an appointment, and if I go there, all I can smell is Lysol. Then obviously ding 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 going off. They probably just clean the house. 10 minutes before I showed up. But again, that's just surface level cleaning. That stuff really shows. But anyway, it's experience, and I'll show you that as part of the JV program if you participate in that. Okay, hopefully I answered your question. Insta195. Okay, Nikki, it's your turn. And do you ask for proof of tenant's credit score? Do I ask for proof of tenant score? You can. Some tenants, they don't want a lot of inquiries on their account. Okay, so they may pull their own score and present it to me when I show up. Otherwise, I pull my own scores, credit inquiries. But I do more than just the credit scores, because what I found is that you have, I think I gave the example of the professional tenant. This is the tenant that knows that the landlord is going to check their credit. And so they keep their credit up. Okay. And so if you pull a credit report, it looks good because these folks know that landlord's going to check their credit. Now, the reason why their credit is good is because they're not paying their rent. Okay. So if their rent is $1,000, and they're not paying their rent, that means that they can pay their car note, they can pay their other bills. Okay. So if you put a credit report, many times it doesn't show your that you don't pay your rent, because that's a separate process. It's a legal process. So you need to check the eviction history of where you are. You need to check the court records of where you are. So what I do is to check both. Okay. The court records to see if they pay their rent on time, or if they've had any eviction or legal proceedings against them. I also check their credit to see if they pay their rents as well, not rents, but pay their other bills. So those two together will give you a better holistic view of the payment history of this prospective tenant than just a credit by itself. Okay, so so hopefully that answers that question. Keep it going. Let's have a look. This is, do you have a partner to find and fund deals? How do you split the gains? This is from iCan USA. No, I don't have partners. I do all this stuff myself. I had a partner once, and I realized that partnership is almost like a marriage. If you get the wrong partner, just like you get the wrong wife or husband or whatever, or spouse, then it could be difficult. so choose your partner carefully. It's easy to get in, it's not easy to get out. so they tell me. and so forth. So so I pretty much do that. But I have LLCs for my entities and so on. Okay, Nikki, it's your turn. How long does it take to find your quality tenants? What's the time? 4:19. Okay, I'm still good. Got another 10 minutes. Laura is telling me to get off the line because she said, I've been talking too long. So you're going to show me some love again to continue the discussion. I need some love, okay? Otherwise, Laura's going to pull the mic. I think she wants to go home, yeah. She's tired of me yakking away too much, So, the love is coming. I'm sorry, Laura. They want a few more minutes with me, So, okay, how long does it take to get high quality tenants? Not that long. I mean, I advertise. I got a great product, and what's it called? People like it. I typically get between 12 to 15 to 20 applications on each house. So finding tenants is not really that difficult, at least for what I have, which is a high demand, low supply product. Okay. Now, if it's this is the other thing I didn't talk about during the oh wow, a lot of love here on Instagram. I tell you, oh, you're making me blush. Oh. Can't you see? And so on. So anyway, so yeah, so I have a lot of applications, and the good thing is that if you have a lot of applications, you can be very thorough on your screening process. So that's the good thing about having a high demand, low supply product. Now the worst scenario is that you've taken all this time to buy this house, to do the BRRRR strategy, and it's now time to rent, okay? And it's time to rent, and you don't get any applications, okay? Or you get one application from somebody that's kind of, you know, borderline, let's just say, and that's all you got. So you either take this person or the place is vacant. And this is where the problem occurs, is that if you don't have a lot of applications, then you may get desperate. And then you may have to lower your screening standards, okay? You may have to lower your score requirements, or you may have to lower your, you know, you don't verify certain things. And next thing you know, the mortgage is due again. So you kind of just get the next person that shows up who's got some money. And then you get them in the house, and then you realize that it was a mistake. And then you're back to square one again. That's the reason why I say it's better to have the place empty than it is to have the wrong person in your home. So it doesn't take very long what I do, the systems I have. And I do have a lot of people to choose from. And what I'm doing this time around, because I'm getting a house which we're just finishing off in 2 weeks. What I'm doing is I'm telling my existing tenants, which is usually what happens. I tell my existing tenants that I'm going to have another house, and do they have any friends or colleagues or people that they can recommend to me? So it's kind of, for my tenants are referring me quality people that they know, and that's what I think the last three or four houses I've got. That's how I've got my tenants. So that's who I ultimately selected the tenants from. So if you're a good landlord, you can attract good tenants. And when their tenants' friends go to their home and they are really impressed by my tenants' homes, and the tenants start saying good things about the landlord, oh, he gives me mother's bouquet of flowers, he gives me presents, and the kids do well, we get free vacations, blah, blah, blah. Their friends say, well, who is this landlord guy? Does he have any of the houses? And so on. So, and good tenants tend to know other good tenants, and they're not going to refer me somebody who's going to trash my house, because they're very protective of that relationship that they have. So they're going to refer me good people who they can sort of vouch for. So it's kind of almost like a circle of life, as go back to Lion King now, the circle of life. You treat people good, and good will come back to you. And get good tenants, and they will refer other good tenants back to you, and so on. So hopefully that makes sense. So hopefully I answer your question, Russie. Okay, and go back to Instagram. We never met at the bridge meeting a while back, but do I recall messaging you? Oh gosh, I don't know who that. I'm sorry, I don't know who that is. I'm sorry. Bridge meeting? Do I have a bridge meeting? Okay, you're gonna have to be a bit more specific. Question from Nathan. Let's connect while we have some time. Messaging. I don't know who that is. Okay, how do you determine the rent you'll receive from Section 8 for your property? How do you, if you go to your housing authority, wherever you live, the Section 8 program is run by the housing authority wherever you are, and generally they publish the rents that they give for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bedroom houses in their jurisdiction. So sometimes, most of the time, it's based on the zip code where your house is. So if you're in zip code 1, then they will offer you rents if you got 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom. It's all based on the number of bedrooms, okay? So if you got a 1 bedroom, you get this rent. If you got 2 bedrooms, you get this rent, da, 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 for this zip code. If you go to another zip code, you may get a different rent for a 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3, and so on. So that's how it typically is. So most of the time, it's public knowledge. It's public information. So there's no secret as to what they pay. You just need to reach out to the housing authority, and they'll tell you. And they'll tell you how they determine the rents as well for your jurisdiction. So you find that out, and then you can then make a decision, where do you want to buy your house? And based on that, how much rent you can expect to get, should you decide to rent to a voucher holder that has a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bedroom voucher and so on. Okay, so it's all public information. There's no secret, and the rates vary. Obviously, if you're in a high-priced markets, the LAs, the San Franciscos, the Bostons, the Washington D.C.s, the New Yorks of this world, then the rents are usually a little bit higher than if you're in lower priced or moderately priced areas, whether it be in the Midwest or other locations. So it's very jurisdiction dependent how much they pay. Okay, hope that answers that question. Nikki, let's give one more time for one more last question, Nikki, if you want to throw it up. What is your optimal number of bedrooms for your houses? It's from Ali again. Hey, Ali. When I first started off doing Section 8, I was okay with 3 bedrooms. I'm in a high price market. So as prices went up, I couldn't cash flow on 3 bedrooms, but I could cash flow on 4. So I sort of moved up to 4 bedrooms, and that was okay, but prices still went up. And now I'm kind of in the point whereby I need to get 5 bedrooms in order to cash flow. I can break even on 4. If it's 3 bedrooms, it's negative cash flow where we are. If it's a 4 bedroom, you can pretty much break even in terms of the rents that you get versus the debt or the mortgages and the expenses that you have to incur. So, but now I'm kind of transitioned over to 5 bedrooms. So when I buy a house, I'm looking to turn the houses into 5-bedroom homes because at that price point, usually I can sort of cash flow. So that's my optimal number is 5 right now. When I first started, it was 3. Then it kind of moved up to 4, and now it's 5. Hopefully, it will never get to 6. You know, in fact, the house that we bought last month, there was a 3-bedroom, and we're turning that into a 6-bedroom. If you want to see how that's done, that's an interesting one. We put 3 bedrooms in the basement, a bathroom in the basement. There's 3 bedrooms upstairs. We're turning that into a 6-bedroom. The house that we bought a couple of weeks ago, it was a 3-bedroom. We're turning that into a 5-bedroom. If you want to see it, if you want to be a part of that one, that's the JV program that we're going to be kicking off next week. So if you're interested in that, just check out the website and let me know, and we'll take it from there. I think it is now 4:28. I'm going to go to Instagram for the very, very last question. And then we're going to wrap it up for today. When you buy out of state, this is from Anthony Morvillo. When you buy out of state or province, how do you find a manager? Good question. The short answer is I usually buy where I live. So I don't buy too far. I think the furthest I bought from I used to have a house that was 40 minutes away. I sold that house because it's just too far. So most of my houses are within 20, 25 minutes of my house. So we're about 10 minutes from DC. And, you know, so I try not to get too far away. So I manage the properties myself. Well, I don't manage it myself, but I have an assistant that manages the property on my behalf. Kudos to Tracy. Shout out to Tracy. And what's it called? So I have an assistant that manages the properties for me, doing it my way. So all the things I'm teaching you is what we do. And because I just hadn't had much luck finding a property management company that kind of did it my way. I don't know a management company that gives bouquets of flowers, Christmas presents, free vacations, you know, or if the kids get A's at school, they give them gifts. I don't know any management company that does that. And therefore, I just do it my way and so on. So this is, but there are some good managers out there. And it's worthwhile to, you know, find out some good ones, get some referrals locally. And so on. So that is the last question. Let me give final announcements again. Today is the last day for if you want to subscribe to the BiggerPockets Wealth Magazine. It's a great magazine. A lot of good, interesting stories. I know it's been featured on you know, a lot of the programs. You know, it looks pretty good. I've read the materials. It looks pretty good. I think you'll gain a lot of good content from there. Very glossy, very professional, very impressive, to tell the truth. So they do have a special right now. If you go to biggerpockets.com/store and there's a 20% discount if you use the promo code magazine. So use a promo code magazine, MAGAZINE, and for a 20% discount. It's published 6 times a year, every other month, and the inaugural issue is featuring myself, yours truly, Joe Asamoah, and they did a really nice article about me. I think, because I haven't read it yet, so hopefully they didn't trash me, but I think they did I think it was pretty fair because they put me on the cover. So you want to see my mugshot, me smiling. Somebody said something about my teeth, but and so on. So what's it called? Check it out. You got to do it by midnight tonight. Okay, subscribe if you want to get the inaugural issue where I'm featured in there. If you do it after tonight, then you're not going to get issue number 1. You're going to get issue number 2, and I will not be featured in issue number 2. I don't know who will be featured in issue number 2, but hopefully, I'm sure it's going to be a great person. And kudos to that person, whoever it is. So check it out again, BiggerPockets.com/store. Use the promo code magazine. And finally, I do have a masterclass, which is, I'm going to talk about what we talked about today in a lot more detail. It's going to be 3 hours long. And we're going to go through action plans, strategies that you can do, not just to survive the downturn, to really take advantage of some of these opportunities that's going to present themselves in the coming downturn. I talk in detail about the systems that I have, put together 8-point strategy, action plan for you to move ahead. So it is a masterclass if you want to join. It is on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern time, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Go to my website, joeasamoah.com. It's Joe Asamoah, it's J-O-E. Oh, here it is. So you look on the screen, joeasamoah.com. Thank you, Nikki. And you can sign up there for the masterclass. There is a fee. It is $39, so full disclosure. And so you can check it out there. I think it's going to be a good value for money. It's going to be 3 hours long. It's probably a great Q&A, so we can engage even further during that session. Look forward to hearing from you, speaking with you. It's a Zoom, so I may even be able to see you, because you can see me, but I can't see you. See, so I don't know what you look like, but you can see what I look like. So hopefully on the masterclass, I'll get a chance to see how you look like. Okay. Two cameras. Okay. How you look, and so on. So you can register on my website, joeasamoah.com. You can also go to social media on Instagram and also on Facebook. If you want to sign up, you can text Dr. Joe, D-R-J-O-E, to 484848. That's Dr. Joe at 484848. Again, I want to thank Nikki. I want to thank the good folks at BiggerPockets for giving me the opportunity to share some content with you. I'll be back in 2 weeks from now. Same time, same place, whatever platform you came on. And so look forward to doing it again. I'm not too sure what topic is going to be on. There's going to be a hot topic, a trending topic. And my goal is to make sure I just don't meet your expectations. I exceed your expectations, and so on. So again, thank you for the good folks at BiggerPockets. And you can also follow me at Dr. Joe Asamoah on Instagram. When I first had the podcast with Brandon, I had 453 followers on Instagram. And through the good graces of the Lord and the good graces of BiggerPockets and good graces of everybody, we are now at 5,500. From 400 to 5,500. Isn't that something? In about 4 or 5 months. So it's all good. And looking forward to engaging with you. So check me out on Instagram and also on Facebook. And I love it. I love what I do. And hopefully I'm providing you with good content. And hopefully you can engage with me. Oh, I do have a Wealth Wednesdays on Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Go to my website, joeasamoah.com. And, I do a Wealth Wednesdays there as a live stream on Instagram and Facebook. So check me out, 7 p.m. on Facebook and Instagram and so on. So with that said and done, I want to sign out and thank you very much. Take care. Be safe.